Hi everyone. Last week we were in Mumbai and we had the privilege of hosting Anna, or as most people know him, Suniel Shetty on the Barbershop. It was a deeply fascinating conversation. Uh, for me personally, my equation with him started almost 9 or 10 months back when out of the blue, he gave me he called me on video on my WhatsApp number. I didn't have his number stored. I didn't know him, but I saw his profile picture, so I thought it was a fan of him who was calling me up. But it was during that 18-hour workday LinkedIn episode, maybe a couple of days into that episode, where he called me up and he gave me a few words of comfort. I couldn't believe for the first 5 minutes that I'm talking to him, but he let that sink in, and then he kind of, like his name Anna, as an older brother, he told me all about how to handle pressure and how to handle negativity. And it was just one of the most incredible and kind things that someone has done. But he's of course well known as an action hero and a Bollywood superstar. But what is lesser known about him to the public is his stint as an entrepreneur while he was in school, his investments, and how he continues to be part of the founder ecosystem in India. This episode explored a lot of those aspects of his life and his personality. And for me, I was starstruck through all of it, as you will see in the episode. But it was just fascinating and extremely enlightening for me as well. So hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I did. Take care.
Anna, welcome to the Barbershop. Thank you so much for doing this. So I'll just give you some context of why we do the Barbershop. We started as a small project of conversations with founders and entrepreneurs and operators, but it ballooned into a place where people come and share experiences. And our entire objective is, after someone comes and watches an episode of the Barbershop, out of all of them, even if one person feels, I need to get out of my comfort zone and start my own business or become entrepreneurial in my own way, we feel we have become successful.
Brilliant. That's why I want to grow up and be like you. Start small and be big. But brilliant. I'm happy for you. And, you went into a space that if you would venture into and still own that space. So that's brilliant. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And Pune boy means Marathi. That's what I'm saying. Means a lot more, no? All of us, for me, this is my karma bhoomi, but it's given me so much. So, it keeps reminding people that Mumbai, Pune, Maharashtra gives so much to you. Yeah. Land of opportunities.
I heard you talk on the phone in Marathi.
Yeah.
And I've never heard you talk in Marathi on screen. So I was pleasantly surprised. And I thought if you lived in Bombay for so long, it's lovely to.
And restaurant trade. So, the only boys we had working then was the boys who came from South Canada or the ones who were local Maharashtrian. And the only boys who stayed with you as long as you wanted them to, So that's why I said the legacy that my father left with me when it came to people was unreal. And that's probably what has triggered off anything in my behavior, whether as an entrepreneur or as an individual, professional actor.
Yesterday, we had an episode with Avnish Bajaj. I don't know whether you know him. He is the founder of Matrix Partners India. And Avnish said something really interesting. He said, in fact, he re-quoted Sam Altman when he said, the first 18 years of your life shape you more than the most recent 7 years of your life.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about the initial years, the legacy of your father, getting into business as early, a culture of holding people close so that it becomes familial more than transactional. Talk about a little bit about what shaped, what became business mindset for you.
For me, I think, of course, Dad's experiences and what I went through with him, it is always does matter, and it's impacted me on everything and anything that I do. But I think what really shaped me was my parents making sure that I got into sport at a very, very early age. So even if I think even when I was 2, I was at something or the other, which means my hand-eye coordination, senses, everything was right. Then getting into a school where there was a lot of activities that happened, so which means a team. So school, team, celebrating loss, everything taught me that everything is good in life. Yeah, you don't have to worry about anything, because if we won, we won together. We lost together. We lost once, we won another time. Then came martial arts in my life. Okay,
How
martial arts came to me probably when I was 11 or 12 years old. And Sensei Pervez Mystery, someone who I genuinely believe is the only sensei that this side of the country had, a true guru, whom you learn from, who teaches you values, who teaches you power, when to use, not to use, what it does to you, then made me instructor. So I think these are the things that shaped me, with that believing anything that you want to do and anything you're happy doing, go ahead and do it. Which meant, you want to stay in the restaurant trade with me? Go ahead. If you don't want to, do what you want. One opportunity, do what you want. So when I was 18, I started Mischief, probably one of the strongest brands that ever was in the retail space, but we didn't know how to grow it into what it is today. But Mischief was the store that even today, I travel all over the world and people will say, I remember your store Mischief. New York Times wrote about it. So that skill came to me then. And that is purely because Dad said, grow. Never stopped me. So I think that is very important. And like you said, the first 18 years shape you. I believe the first 8 years can shape a kid. And that's why I tell any parent that when it's a child, involve yourself with them. Befriend them. There shouldn't be no such word as no. Let them understand. Teach them in their own way. And let them just bloom. Let them just grow. Because that's when you make your choices, And I think that sport for me has been my be-all and end-all. And then doting parents who said, do what you want.
all of this was in Mumbai? Where did you go?
Everything was in Mumbai. I was born in Bangalore because mom had gone for delivery. I think I was a baby that was in a hurry. So I really let mom reach the hospital. I was born at home. And mom said, you were in a hurry all the time. And then probably she realized that energy in me, being very naughty and, inquisitive, creative. So when we came down to Mumbai, that's when it all opened up then, Dad's restaurant was in a very conservative area. I mean, I won't say it was a notorious area also, gangs and stuff like that.
Which part of Bombay was it?
Lamington Road, and that's where the golden gang of Mumbai came up, and there was a history to that. And though it was a great place for his business, he didn't want the kids to grow up in this area, because he says, if I allow them to get into a particular age in this area, that will probably impact them and the way they think. So he moved to Nepean Sea Road. He borrowed, begged, stole, didn't steal, but did that and moved into Nepean Sea Road. He said, better culture, better schools, better people. And all these little things have stayed with me, because you can do a lot in life later, but you watch and learn.
Yeah.
And kids watch and learn. And so I think that's where I picked up a whole lot of things. How really lessons.
Sorry, how did you find, I'm thinking back to your 16, 17, 18, you would have probably been 10th, 11th standard.
Yeah.
Going to school, working at your brother's restaurant, being a sensei instructor, and now opening a store. How did you find the time to do all of these things as someone preparing for their board exams, or, having their first crush or girlfriend in life?
I think that's true. That's true. Nobody asked me this kind of a question. It's a very, very interesting question. And I was very wary at interview karu, nahi karu, because I hate interviews. And it's only when I have to promote, because I'm an actor and the producers expect me to, and I want to, I talk about my product. But super questions. I'm glad that I'm doing this with you. I guess that's when my time management and skills came in. I was early to school. I wanted to play cricket for the school, which I did play. I was the school captain. So school started at 9, which means I went to the ground at 5.
Oh, wow.
So my day began before the sun rose, and then ended when I was tired, with whatever I did. Lunch break, an hour. School opposite. Mom says, no, you have to eat home cooked food. So I used to run home, eat quick. See, all those habits of eating quick all these habits come when you're growing up. So I think I managed time well. And because of that, I was very excited to make money and work with dad or for dad. So I used to, luckily for us, it was 10 plus 2 plus 3. Okay. So when 2 came up, I got out of school and went to a private school. When I went to a college, my friends didn't get in, so I went back to another school for them. And those timings were apt for me. I think school started at 9, finished at 1.
Okay.
So after 1, I went to the restaurant. So I gave dad that break till 5, 6, 7, 8 in the evening. Then I'd go and train. So I think these time management skills, and because my days were long, I was able to pack in. And I had the enthusiasm to want to do things because I was a sportsman, So that energy is always the dopamine that you get early in the morning when you get out of that gym keeps you going, through the day. And I think that's kept me going through my life. I have that energy, and my day still starts at 5 in the morning.
Hey, like for example, we had on the barbershop Viren Raskin. I don't know whether you had the chance to meet him. He was the captain of the India hockey team, runs Olympic Gold Quest, but is a strong believer that sport as an institution is the most powerful way to uplift society. And Olympic medals is his way to do it. So, for example, when Mirabai Chanu won the silver at Tokyo, her entire community in Manipur is now lifting weights. And these are all young girls away 5, 6, 7. So
that's what happens when you have a hero. That's when you believe in someone and you follow someone. That's what's happening. That's where the word extracurricular activity in sport needs to be out. Absolutely. Sports need to be a subject and should be one of the leading subjects, because that's when you learn to lead. That's when you learn to lose. That's when you learn to win, and you realize that that's all a part of life, especially in today's virtual world, like I call it, where, likes matter more than personally appreciating each other and being honest to each other. I think it's the need of the art. It's the need of the art. All this, clinical issues with depression, I understand, it needs to be looked at differently. Needs to be dealt with very, very sensitively. But forced upon depression is what we are going through.
Correct.
I look at Twitter and somebody is thrashing me, and if I'm going to take it to heart, and I'll take it to heart when I'm not connected with the real world. The minute I'm connected with the real world, I'm not going to take all that crap to heart. So, and only sport is that real world. Only creativity is that real world. Doing something other than just the curriculum in school is very important. So I think a lot needs to change for things to change.
I remember we got connected, and I was fanboying at that time. But it was one of the sweetest things. And moment that happened, I went to the office and I told my entire team, and everyone was very happy and all of that. And thanks to Karan for making that happen.
Yeah.
But I remember when 1 year back, when that LinkedIn post had gone kind of viral and I was getting thrashed. And unlike you, I am not someone in the public eye or famous. So for me, it was, I remember Sasha and I were talking, and I was like, what did I say that was that wrong? But when you called me and you said, just get your eyes off the screen, and the world hasn't changed at all.
Absolutely.
So first of all, thank you for doing that. It was you didn't need to. And it was the sweetest gesture possible, and kind of, made me feel that, okay, validation from you, especially you've spoken about being hardworking and, all the essence of what I had written. But that was something which really gave confidence, and we kind of were able to.
No, but that's what even kept me sane through my journey. People said, don't get married because you're becoming an actor. You should be single. I said, really? Oh, then I need to get married. Kids. First year, Tia was born first year. I think 11th month she was out there saying Papa.
Yeah.
So I broke all the norms because it didn't matter to me. I knew I was a master when it came to martial arts. So I knew there was something in me that could set me apart. And I worked on that. And I still, probably not there among the so-called top few and the top whatever. But I'm relevant. And that's what matters. Being happy is what matters. Family is what matters. So, and like I said, for you also, it was that world that was troubling you. For us, the same thing was done by publications. They got you when they wanted to. They created controversies when they wanted to. They got you linked when they wanted to. And every time that magazine came home, I believed that I was getting to know a lot more about the industry. But I realized it was impacting my mind. So that day and today, nothing related to film, excepting the film, business-related magazines came home. I stopped everything. I didn't read it. It didn't matter to me. When somebody spoke about it, I said, you know what? You let it be and let me be. So at times we have to be that blunt also, and that's exactly I managed it. And I was that ostrich at that time, but it worked for me. Like, well, works for you, works for you.
Absolutely. It helped because the moment I deleted the app, I logged off, then the world went normal again.
Absolutely.
Instantly.
Absolute.
Instant. Well, come back, Anna, come back to your 16-year-old self in the restaurant, learning tricks of business. It's hard to be a young second-generation entrepreneur in that setup where a lot of the employees maybe are kind of loyal to your father, but now have to work with you. What did that teach you? What were some of there must have been character building experiences at that time, but can you just kind of take us through
Absolutely.
some of that?
Especially when I got in first, I thought I was dad's third eye, overlooking everything, and what he missed out is something that I'm going to get to enthusiastically. I used to keep telling him, I think this manager on our dad is doing that. So dad would sit me down and say, you know what? He's someone who's been with me for 10 years. I know exactly what he does. I know what he takes away. That's his need. If I provide him, it's our habit. But I let that pass because I don't want somebody else to come in, somebody I don't know, and a known, I wouldn't say criminal thief, but a known offender, someone you can still handle as compared to the unknown.
Correct.
So keep a check on it. Keep a watch on him. Tell him in your own subtle way when you have to. But I know how much he sends home because that time money orders were there. There was only phones, so you know how you could control. You knew he understood what are the kind of clothes he wore and how many times he changed. So he was aware of all that. So he said, keep yourself abreast of all that and everything will be fine. And then let it go. Trust them. Because if you don't, it won't work. And if they've done something, if he's willing to change, give him another opportunity. But it was like you're doing, we just had a quick chat and you said, if one of my kids wants to leave, I'd let them go. I'd let them fly and say, let me invest in you. Because there is a part, they didn't have that opportunity then, but he let him grow. And he said, this is your extended family. This is the team that you have. If he's in another area, he will always be indebted to you. So he let all that happen. And because he let all that happen, my mind started getting comfortable with anything that happened in my life. It's like if somebody left you and went, it never hurt you. Because you said, yeah, theek hai, yaar, wo grow kar raha. Otherwise, wo chhod ke chala gaya, take it personally. Somewhere down the line, it set my mindset. And see, we were in the hotel business. So it was cleaning tables, it was small business, 50 paisa, 60 paisa, tea, coffee. I would sit on the counter with all those coins. And I had a friend of mine who came one day and I was 18 then. And to the outside world, pastry parlors, Underworld, we were these Italians there, long hair, body, shoddy, everything fine. And, girls probably walking around to make sure that they had a glimpse of us in the evening. That was what growing up was in South Mumbai. And here I was in this side of town, doing my bit with my dad, shouting for idlis and chais. And this friend of mine came in and he saw me and he started laughing. He says, this is what you do. And I said, yes, this is what I do. I do this for a living. And when I went back in the evening to the Underworlds and the pastry palaces, everybody knew that. And he kept saying, hey, chai wala, idli, dosa. And I said, and I wasn't embarrassed. The best part was I wasn't embarrassed. So that day I was clear that I was proud of what I was doing. Whatever it was, because I was working. I was not doing anything else that somebody else was doing. And they were flying. And I remember telling him, one day, trust me, maybe it was the age and maybe because Of course, you have that ego and you have that. And I said, one day I'll be 10 times bigger than you are. I'm not happy about the fact that I'm bigger or smaller than him, but I'm happy about that fact that I kept that in me to say stepping stones for me and proud of what I did. So even today, when I go to the set and nobody is there, I'm never embarrassed about being early or somebody's not waiting for me when I come in. I pull up a chair, I sit on a stool, I go somewhere under a tree and I go and sit down with my team. I'm comfortable. That comfort came from that 16-year-old, 17-year-old, never tired, open the door for every customer. Somebody abuses you and you walks out. That says, don't get upset because this is your jurisdiction. Nobody's going to come here for a 50 paisa idli, traveling, spending 50 paisa for that. So your customer base is only this. If you work on it, it'll grow. And it worked. So I never took anything as degrading. Because it wasn't. But if anybody said anything when I started the bars, I was absolutely cool. And my martial arts gave me that patience, the strength. So gangs operated, I knew. Let me not unleash myself. Then you have to take care of it. But that was not overconfidence. That was confidence and saying, you know what, let's make peace here.
It's hard for an 18-year-old to withstand that kind of peer pressure. And
yeah, but I did because I was an athlete, because I was a sportsman, because I had the appreciation there for that, because I was that is when everybody appreciated. I was 18 and I was training the Tibetan Border Police thanks to Sensei. I was training the Maharashtra Police thanks to Sensei. So I used to go to 90%. See, the highs are different in life then. I used to go to a club and I used to have all this bodyguards there saying, Shantanu, come. So you're like a legend at that age.
That's insane.
Yeah, so that gives you confidence. That gives you pride. It wasn't the Mercedes-Benz that that somebody else drove in because I didn't have one. So I came on my Bullet. But then when I walked in, I got that respect. So I realized early in life that there's nothing more powerful than respect. And when you command it
through real performance, action, and
absolute. So I think I didn't think of all this then, but when I lie down, when I think about my journey in life and from humble backgrounds, why we've come here, why whatever has happened in life has happened. I realize it's because of all this and nothing else. So you realize only later in life. I probably realized I'm realizing this after Dad passed away, that Christ, what is the legacy that he's left here? Uneducated, came to Mumbai at 9, sat me down when I was in 10th grade and said, but I have only so much. And I believe that educating the daughters probably is the best protective gear or weapon that you can give them. Because come rain, come storm, if they're alone, they need to hold themselves. And I still remember that conversation with him. And he said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to follow you. You want to go out to study? I said, no, you've got 2 daughters. And this is your budget? Let the little one go. Not that I wanted to go because I was stuck to mom and dad. I was a very secure child and I didn't want that security to go out. I would move to another town, forget to another country. But he sat me down then and he said this. So the takeaways are so... Today people say, talk about daughters and education and them being equal. I think Dad 50 years ago thought that way. Ki Lakshmi, she's the one, and that's how you see the pandemic, yeah. There's the mother, the sister, the daughter who got us through everything. They cooked, they cleaned, they did everything. Even if we tried to do it, we did a shoddy job of everything. But they kept us alive. They kept homes. Entrepreneurs came from yeah. If you have the aggregators and the Swiggies and the Zomatos have grown, it's thanks to these homes that have set them up. That kept us to grow, yeah. So
for me, all this here was a large part of, being an athlete, being into martial arts, protecting, having sisters, also kind of joining your father's business at an age where people would do it 5-6 years after.
Yeah.
When they've completed college, they would do it.
Absolutely.
You did it earlier. Was there a sense you speak with in almost awe of your parents, especially your father? Was there a desire to emulate him very early and seek his love through work?
Absolutely. Mom and dad. I needed to validate everything that they told me. And to this day, I believe that is the way it is. It's like mom never stopped me from doing anything. I partied, I went out, I worked. She knew I was working. She knew I was trying to study whatever best I could. She knew that, I wouldn't do something that would offend them. It's amazing how things work. I came home at 4 in the morning. My worry always was not that mom would say something to me, but shit, mom mustn't have slept. And I opened the door and she'd be on that sofa, sleeping, lying down with a pillow, which uncomfortable though, and say, "You're okay, baby? You'll eat anything?" So I said, no. Are you sure? Yeah. Did you eat? Yeah. Do you have to get up in the morning? Do I have to wake you up? No, ma. Okay. And she'd go. That's it. So that made sure that I was responsible every time I came back. So that this is how you learn, yeah. College and school gives you nothing. This is how you learn. And this is what they taught me, And then naturally to keep Dad happy, Dad was unwell for a bit. So I wanted to say, Dad, you relax. I'll do the work. And I did manage to do it. I managed to get him comfortable, get him home early on time. For me, dating Bana meant working till 2 o'clock at night, one restaurant, next restaurant, third restaurant, packing up at 2 and then meeting her at 2 at night.
How old were you?
20, 21, 20.
And you guys were the same age?
No, she was 2-3 years younger than me. She's 3 years younger than me. Parents were very fond of me. I had met them earlier in life only, and they're very, very humble, very sweet, and they were okay. They knew what I was doing, and that's the time. Christmas, New Year. At 5, I would get back because that was business time. So she accepted all that. What was the result? When I got married, when I got into the film industry, when it's the time for someone to get most secure, the only way I could give her security was shadi kar lo. I'm not going to delay that any further. So, these little things have resulted in having, children who are well-behaved, children who know what life has given them, children who are indebted for everything that they have, thanks to such a strong mother too, because that's how she brought them on. That's the way she was with me. Not that don't have our fights and our powwows and all that. That's all,
Where do you get the conviction from to marry early?
I just marry early.
Or marry by the time
My parents were totally against it for 9 years here. So we saw each other for 9 years.
Oh, really?
Why? I got married when I was 29, 30. Not that I got married early, but we stuck to each other, And that conviction probably came from my parents. Where else? It can't come from anywhere else. It came from my upbringing in sport and the gurus that I followed, And I always believe that there's a guru, a mentor that you need in life. It's like driving on a highway in the middle of the night and saying, shit, there's no light here. But that when you switch that headlight on, you can see a good 40 meters, 50 meters ahead. And then you say, what am I getting into? And then as you drive, that 50 meters stays. So that you reach that goal because you have a certain set goal that is in front of you. So having that guru in life is very, very important. So even when Aan and Atya were growing up, I looked at every teacher that they had is, ये गुरु के लायक है कि ऐसे ही आ रहा है. So whether it's martial arts, whether it's dance, whether it's a teacher, I would always make sure that somebody came from a background that was very, very strong when it came to culture, who was socially very aware that unity, that diverse thinking was there in them when they came, because that's what would be, and that's the little effort that you have to make as a father, because mama takes care of everything else. This whole myth about star kids is something that people need to, one or two of them are not the entire industry. You see, most star kids today are the most well-behaved kids. Take an Abhishek Bachchan, for example. You take an Isha Deol, you take a Bobby Deol, they are kids who are unbelievable. I think so. Those are the ones we should say are star kids. The yesterdays and today's stars and sudden stardom and kids, it is not somebody that I say. Stardom comes from the Kapoors. You see a Ranbir Kapoor. It comes generations, the Chopras. You see an Adi Chopra. See the legacy that has come. You see a Dev Saab and you see Dev Saab's son. You see a Shamiji and you see Shamiji's son. You see a Shashi Kapoor and you see Kunal and Karan. That's legacy. Those are star kids. They're very conscious about everything because they know they are public figures. So they know that they have to be responsible in anything and everything they do. One-off cases might happen. It's all a part of growing up, yeah. Everybody thought even Suniel Shetty was the number one Bevda when he grew up. I went to a party and the first thing that would come is a bottle of whiskey to me. Because of the way I was built. I didn't care about anybody. I had long hair, buttons open. I had a great physique and everything was well. I had attitude. But I haven't had a sip of alcohol in my life. I haven't smoked. I haven't had chewed tobacco. Not in my life.
That's insane. Am I talking about, and the audience for the barbershop, people are coming in to talk about business and you've become a lot more public about it. But you've been doing business, and when Karan and I spoke about preparing for this conversation, he said, Anna has been a businessman for the longest time, and we spoke about the early parts of your business career with your father. But talk about what running a film career, which was such a high profile, career which took away a lot of your time, energy, and mind space. At the same time, involving yourself in businesses throughout. You've kind of been very consistent about you and Mana both. So talk about what those businesses have been, what were the failures, what worked well, what are some of the learnings?
I'd say more failure once I became an actor. But experience and learning. Failure, I'd say, because when my first film released, one of the topmost critiques then, who ruled the rules, and what he said was, the so-called truth, wrote me off as wooden, said he should go back to selling idlis. And these are the words. This is his review. And go back to his Udupi. He's better there. Will never make it. My film was a blockbuster. My film was a hit. Suniel Shetty was accepted as that action hero. But here's someone who's numero uno and one of probably the only writers, the most powerful publication writing, go back home. And I was upset. I was very, very upset.
How old were you at that time?
30. I started late. And I said, yeah, this is not fair. Because every kid believes that he's the next Mr. Bachchan. And that's the journey and that's how he's... Why would I'm anyways who's someone who I always say, मैं हमेशा घोड़े पे ही रहता हूँ, पीछे देखता ही नहीं हूँ. गिरा तो मैं दूसरे घोड़े पे बैठूंगा और निकल जाऊंगा. And that's the way I've always been in life. But then when I went back to the drawing board and I stepped back and said, why is he saying this? When I analyzed it, I'd done 6 days of acting school. I had never done anything in school, really. no drama, no play. I was this one tree in school, in that one play, and so I said, yeah, he was very harsh. He didn't need to be. Yeah. But he had said that, and I said, you know what? Maybe this career might not go anywhere. So let me stay invested in business, because you need a backup. Because dad always says you should have a backup plan. This is an alien world to you. I'd never seen the insides of a studio. Whatever little was walking the ramp because of the personality and doing a few ads here and there, but never seen a film studio, never played a character. Playing yourself and being a model, being stylish, all that is okay. But playing a character, a skill, it is a skill. So I need to work on it. So I said, you know what? Let me stay invested in what I'm doing, because anyways, dad was at the restaurants. My partners were running Mischief, and it was a very, very successful business. And that only got enhanced, when I went into this trade, because it got that publicity.
Yeah.
Not realizing that finally I was the one who was also doing all the merchandising. So merchandising started dropping. So the after effects you see, but over a period of time, it took 2-3 years before I said, you know what, take everything, because I can't manage it and it's not living up to the expectation. So I continued the business from a security perspective, saying if I have to fall back, but at the same time said, how do I learn my acting now? Can't go back to acting school and take a break, because then the more you did, the more successful you were. So I signed films and I started doing death-defying stunts. That separated the man from the boys. And that was my standing when they said, yeah, ye to pagal hai yaar, ye to building se koodta hai, ye karta. And I did all the stunts myself. I took a stunt double, then so that he could get paid in the end of the day, and not for any other reason. Because otherwise, uski rozi roti mein nikal ke chala jata hu. So I had a stunt double with me all the time, but only for this. So ek chota role hai to main usse karwa deta tha. Lekin baki sab main karta tha. So that I got that image. And I finally got that image of an action hero. I was stable. I learned my craft during the way, and I settled, and that settling was finally what set me up. And that's why I keep saying I'm still learning. Acting is something that you keep learning. It changes. It's like fashion. It changes with time also.
Yeah.
And my fashion sense kept me going because of Mischief. That merchandising I did there, I started doing for myself. So people started appreciating the clothes that I used to wear and the style that I had. So I managed it that way. Business was because of that. And then I started investing and trying to do business from that studio, and it didn't work. It started failing. So a lot of the businesses I probably did failed earlier on. But I then realized that the only thing I could secure myself with my investment is invest in real estate. So our father always said that when you invest in real estate, don't invest in apartments, because the house is the only one you live in. The rest never appreciates and return is very low.
Correct.
Invest in commercial properties. Invest in 60 feet wide roads. An uneducated man telling me, invest in 60 feet wide roads. Invest where there's growth, there's train, there's travel is easy, and where there's high streets if you can. Don't get into a single gala, get into a double gala, because you need one for display. So the MNCs look at that. So then I started investing in real estate. And I said, okay, that's my safety guard. So the real estate grew, the interest grew. I didn't have to take care of it. Land, as long as the paperwork is good, your name is there on that board, let it be. But then came that period when there was a lull in my life. And I said, you know what, now, rather than take on cinema, let me get out of it completely and start doing other things. And that's when I started dabbling in other stuff. And then it fortunately for me worked, 1 brand, 2 brands. And then if I had invested in someone like you, I'd grow thanks to you. So I realized that a good founder with a good management backup is better to back than to try and do something on your own, set up a team, because you're not there at the helm of affairs. And a lot of times, you're a master. I only am invested in brands, people, the brands that I had the knowledge about, the business that I had the knowledge about, the experience to give, or the marketing skills to be able to support that. I never go in as purely an investor. If I don't know anything, I'm not interested. I know this could be a unicorn tomorrow, I won't be interested, because that's the way I am. I don't dabble with stocks, not interested. I have the best of friends, I have everything, I have all the information, but I won't, because I believe, नहीं यार मेहनत नहीं है इसमें, और मेहनत नहीं है तो मुझे फलता नहीं है ये, कंपनी नहीं जाएगी, लेकिन मुझे फायदा नहीं होगा, so I let go. But here, it's best to do. So initially it was, great founders, great ideas, get involved. Then it started, great founders, great investment, great management team, then get involved in it. Because that's the gap that I see today. Great ideas, money, but the management skills missing.
People even yesterday we were discussing this at length, that the ability to keep a senior team. So Avnish really nicely called it org 1.0, org 2.0, org 3.0. Org 1.0 is hustlers.
Yeah.
Org 2.0 is hustlers who can think. Yeah. Org 3.0 are thinkers who can make others hustle.
Absolutely.
And it's very hard for the same founders to put on 3 different hats in the same company, because the company is growing. Yeah. What we do today as a 400 crore organization is very different from what we did as a 30 crore.
True.
And we have to learn a lot more to do something at 1,000 crore and so on. So I completely agree. But some of the intrinsics you can see early on. But coming back to, and I want to dabble on your investments and how you think about working with founders in depth also. But one thing that you said about differentiating yourself from the others, and you don't call them as competitors because they're all actors, but you're all vying for the same roles which are limited. So it is a demand supply thing. And you differentiate yourself by being someone who did death-defying stunts and being an action hero. But this coincided with Atiya being a 1, 2, 3-year-old child. So as a young father, I'm assuming, I'm just trying to put the dots there. You got married at 30, she came out a year later, and you were doing death-defying stunts. That was tremendous risk-taking with maximum upside, but that's entrepreneurial in its own way.
Absolutely.
Would you do it again?
I won't let my kids do it. I would do it, but I won't let my kids do it. And that's what fathers are all about, And I was conscious, but never once did Tia or Mana know what kind of stunts I've done.
Oh, really?
Not once. I never took anything back home. Never, ever. Even today, any kind of stress, business related or otherwise, I'll never take it home. But if I'm genuinely low or upset, Atyan and Mana will be the first ones to know everything, and that's the way it was even with Dad. If I did something, I went and told him, Dad, I think I've beaten up a cop. What do I do? I said, really? Why? Gave him the reason. He says, to hell with it. We'll fight it. You are not wrong. So, and that's what my father always said. He stood by me for anything and everything. We were at a time where the underworld was rampant here, and I used to get calls and saying, I'll do this, I'll do that. I used to amuse back. I had cops telling me, Suniel, you're crazy, you don't understand, they'll get upset and they could do anything. I said, but I'm not wrong, then protect me. What have I done? They want me to work in their film. They want us to go to places that we don't want to go to. So that's the background I came from. That was Dad for me. That was Mom for me. You telling the truth? Look in my eye. I tell that. Okay, don't worry. They'll come and then say sorry, or if I've done something, that the intentions were right, but had gone wrong, they'd stand up for me. And that's the way Mana and me are as parents. Nothing. I would blindly believe Ahan and Atya with what they did. Probably go say sorry for, even if they were right, we'd go say sorry. But I will never not trust them. And that's the way it goes. So I never told Atya what I've done. And I've done crazy stuff. I've gone crazy stuff. And got injured, got out of it, self-healed, and that's where, from a fitness perspective, I always say time is the best healer, even physically it is, if you work on things right.
Amazing. I want to talk to you about founders you've invested in. You invested in Beardo, which is a company I admired and was very jealous of for a long time, because they started, I think, a couple of years before us. They're always bigger than us.
Yeah.
I remember your face being on the pack, and I remember going, we were a 7-member team. I'm like, guys, a face of someone who's aspirational on the pack is just such a smart thing. Why can't we think of this? Hum log kyun nahi soch rahe? So I remember that investment very personally. But there are a lot you've made. You've done it. You've co-invested with, with partners. You've done things on your own. And you speak about founder and management teams. You speak about great founders, great management teams, great ideas. And I would put idea and market in the same bucket. So that is the troika of early stage investing. But talk about some of the memorable investments which taught you something, because you seem to be someone who also likes to get involved.
That's one part of it. I don't want to dwell in detail, but because they're all growing, they're all doing well. So each one needs to be taken care of and spoken about equally. But if I mention a few, probably around like Fitter, what they did, what the idea they came with, the changes that we brought about, what we're thinking of now, how do you evolve? Do you peak or can you evolve? And yes, you can evolve even further, create bigger valuation. There's Body First, which is a nutraceutical brand that I got into in the peak of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Absolute no sale happening, nothing happening. Got into it, grew it. Now is growing and growing beautifully. So there are quite a few, but I let it be, let them grow.
आप क्या देखते हो फाउंडर में जब आप सोचते हो कि मैं कुछ करना है, इसके साथ काम करना है?
Intention, idea, the need gap, and of course, whether how do I fit in? Can I make a difference? खाली फेस दे रहा हूँ कि वो genuinely आना चाहते हैं और बैठ के सुनना चाहते हैं कि सर कैसे हम इसमें बदलाव लेकर आ सकते हैं. Something that I'm excited about now. Just the other day we launched Vayu, the app. A food service app, zero commission. Really set in Mumbai now. Already, Vayu, is it? Yeah, already having 2,000 to 3,000 restaurants on board and advertising people. There was what the aggregators have done over a period of time is, given a time during the pandemic, there was a problem. They gave a solution to the problem, and they grew and they grew and they grew. And then when you have VCs backing you, you have to deliver and deliver and deliver.
Correct.
You lose heart at times, and when you start losing your heart, the solution started becoming a problem and the problem was at my end because I'm a restaurateur by heart. So started losing 20, 25, 30%. So what do? Sit with them and say, you know what, let's create something that can take care of the problems, and it's the beneficiary can be the customer himself. So today, they've created this app. We're working on it. There are a lot many in that space, but I know we'll make a massive dent. And that's the vision of the Prime Minister, ki sabka saath, sabka vikas, and one India, one people. So we've begun with the restaurateurs. It's a small team, robust team, very, very good. And whether it's marketing or customer acquisition, we know our numbers. We know our numbers because the restaurateurs are our partners. Every association is now getting associated. So all you need is that customer base that is already there. And you're onboarding your customers too. So both sides are being covered brilliantly. And the kind of response I have got from people saying, what, how, when, can we get involved, is insane. And it's been 2 days. It's been covered all over by everybody and anybody and wants to cover.
This is separate, is it?
Yeah, it's separate.
Because ONDC, I'm like, it's become chaotic, right? Like yesterday, I was with the Matrix team and they were telling me about how there's a app called Nammayatri in Bangalore. Have you heard of it? Nammayatri? This is basically the entire auto union in Bangalore who have to give 25-30% to Ola Uber are not able to do it. So Nammayatri sits on top of ONDC. ONDC basically decouples everything. From payments to supply to So seller buyer now become connected without a middle person.
Absolutely.
And now the other issue that came up is now autos earlier in Bangalore, if you would ever take autos in Bangalore, they were notorious for charging extra. They didn't go by meter. Ola Uber reduced that. So now everyone believed it. Now again the seller is setting the price. So again the buyer is feeling that now prices are going up. So this volatility of democratization will take some time, but amazing to hear.
Because the restaurateurs are involved, Ahar is involved, a lot of the other associations are joining in. So I think within the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you'll have 5,000, 6,000 plus restaurants here there. So it's what the UPs did earlier. What the UPs did was they were affordable, the hygiene levels, and catered to mass India. So if you had a Urpi around you, you knew that lunch, dinner and breakfast was taken care of at the right price always. So this is right price always. Restaurants are benefiting. We're not telling you go with this delivery partner, go with that delivery partner. I would want to say Mumbai has always been fed by Dabawalas. Bring them also on board. Give them an opportunity also. So suddenly the world is opening up. And it's been 2 days to launch. And I know we'll do well because the plans are great. The boys are great. Pune, boys from Pune again. So Pune has, and a smart one, and a great place to test and test waters also. But we began with Mumbai, so we're there. And also because automatically I have people coming to me. Even see the beardo story happened started as an endorsement, and I said, you know what, I don't want money. I'm not interested in money because that'll stay with me for a year, and then you'll get the next kid on the block, and you'll say, step down and let me come in. I said, I don't want to be that. After a year, you take anybody you want, but I want to be a part of this journey. Because that is my journey. It's because hair, makeup, beard, everything matters a hell of a lot, And I was one of the first few people who invested with Alim, Hakim Alim, invested in his talent and because of the human being he was, not to make money. But today Alim is a league of his own, and every star, he calls himself a star because he's got Alim with him and doing his makeover. So all these little things, and I always invested in people and the kind of people. For me, it doesn't matter. It takes 6 months to train, and like you said, you learn on the journey. And no, kuch likha hua bahut kuch hai, lekin it's more gyan than anything else. It's your journey and your skill as an entrepreneur and the time that you give to anything that you do. Once again, Dad always saying, love your work like your own child. You'll find your way. That child will come to you and stick to you and grow with you. So that's how I look at it. So I'm comfortable in this space of health and food, wellness, entertainment, sport. So that's where I'm at.
And if I were to think about it, I think a lot of it comes from the restaurant business where interacting with customers and serving customers with food that is for them the meal for the day is important. But talk about where that value system comes from and what you have gained from it, even though you didn't want to gain from it. But
I mean, the Goodwill today, 32 years in the industry, probably 6 years, 7 years where I didn't work. I didn't work at all. I didn't work at all, not because I didn't want to, because crap was coming and I didn't want to be associated with crap. Because finally, when you start doing shit, you end up there, and you dilute yourself. So I said, step back, forget about it. Shit is coming, don't feel offended. You've created this situation for yourself. You didn't know where to place yourself as a brand. Am I valued here? Am I valued here? You make those mistakes, you know. Emotionally, I made a lot. So I stayed away. Then came the pandemic. I think 2.5 years of the pandemic, then the after effects of the pandemic. And in that 6 years when dad was unwell and all that, overall 7, 8 years, I was nowhere. But it's only this side of me that kept me alive. It's the media, the way I probably interacted with each kid, you know, growing up. All of them today are editors or top journals or somebody. So everybody remembers that part of it in their journey. And even as a child, you go to a particular place, it's the memory that is created there that stays with you.
Yeah.
For me, it's the streets of Mangalore and the so-called bylanes of Mangalore, the backwaters, that I've always stayed and I've always wanted to be associated with. Like that, people leave an impression on you, or Jimmy uncle would leave an impression or that. So that has always stayed with me, and because dad was like that, you know, I always, of course, my hero. So that's the DNA I come from. So people have always mattered to me, and it has never mattered to me. And I've never believed or built a relationship expecting something from you, even in the film industry. As a matter of fact, that was my, I wouldn't say that was a negative part of me, but that was a certain weakness that I had, that if I succeeded with someone, I would never call that person saying, take me in your next, unless I believed that I deserve to be there, which is wrong, which is something that I should have done. I should have marketed myself right. But how do I look at it? Atya, can I give them that side of me? Or can I use that side of me to help them with whatever? It's not that they need that help, but if they ever need me for that, you know, and 10 years, yeah, media still wrote about me. Nobody writes about anybody unless they are of some value to you, you know, and you get space in news and anywhere else and everywhere else only because they value you and they believe that you make a difference to them. They kept me alive, and it's my relationship, probably that.
One very interesting thing which a mentor investor told me was, and it's stayed with me throughout, which is something which you also seem to embody, is identify good people, do everything you can to help them without expecting anything in return. The only thing you should expect and explicitly tell them is, please do this for good people you meet in life. The world becomes a better place.
I mean, I don't think you even have to tell them, because people start realizing that on your own. They say, yeah. You know, and this is something I think my mother-in-law taught me, to give and never expect. You know, she ran this organization, Save the Children India, which is in her name today, the Vipula Foundation. And she said, give and forget, accept and never. You know, and when she passed away, she sold every bit of her jewelry to help a kid, only showing that she gave it from her own pocket. All these little things is what you take in and build your own character. And it for me has worked like magic. Today, I could go to any place, wherever I go to, whether it's Dubai or any other place. If there are people that I know or people know, you know, what the media carries about you or what people carries about you reaches wherever it has to, and I'm treated the same way. Today, you have become the big brother and Anna for everybody. So even at in a place like that, they say, Anna, and the minute they say that, you know, everything has changed. And it's worked. And when something works for you, won't you make an attempt to improve upon that? You know, whether it's your own product and a certain bit of your range that has worked, you try to improve upon that, because that's your acquisition and that's your customer return, a reason for them to come back to the table for you. Yeah? And that's the same thing with what you do. You know, and when you get appreciated, you feel, नहीं यार ये अच्छा है, मेरे लिए तो मैं और अच्छा बनूं, तो वो कोशिश होती है, क्योंकि thin line होता है ना, हमेशा हर चीज thin line की होती है. मेरी इंडस्ट्री ऐसी है कि gorgeous women out there, so it's very easy to cross over. But then when you think thin line, you got a beautiful wife at home, you got a daughter, you got a mother who believes that you're not going to mess up anyway and let the family down. So then you stick to this side of the fence. So everybody is conscious about everything. Unless you're stoned all day and don't know anything.
No, but that's not even Rockefeller, one of the greatest philanthropists, if not the greatest philanthropist of all time, said this very poignantly, which probably resonates what your mother-in-law also says, or said to you, which is a man who dies rich, dies disgraced.
Absolutely.
It's a very extreme way to put it.
But it is true also. It is true. And yesterday I was in a conversation with my friend. My friends are my childhood friends, 60 years and plus.
Wow.
Friendship. And we still meet. So yesterday my wife asked, we're going for a boys' night out. Boys' nights are out means just us. Office or they're home and we're only talking what happened, childhood and stuff. So half an hour laughter sessions, nothing else.
Yeah.
And that's where we were telling a friend of ours, I said, finally, आज ये गाड़ी है, वो जो करना है कर लो अगर कैपेसिटी है यार. ये पैसे छोड़ के जाना and not having enjoyed life or not giving back or not making a difference. Other than that, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It not a little disgrace, but I think you haven't lived your life there.
What gives you energy, Anna? Like, we're talking about playing, you are in office on Saturdays and Sundays, you are giving your time to founders, you're giving your time to family, you're giving your time to all the people who, who matter to you. But what gives you energy to keep doing that? Like, where do you derive energy from? Of course,
Right from workout, training, and the happy part of it. It gives me joy because I've never believed that I need something in return for that. And I honestly, because of that, it gives me the high. And it could be, and I'm also always joking. I mean, even when we started today, I think the kid didn't understand when I said it. So everybody was a little fox. I saw a little nervous.
So,
yeah. So, no, she was there. Yeah. So I saw that. Then I said, no. It'll take a while. Because once they told, they would want me to do all this. There's something wrong. Yeah. Something is wrong with go ahead, do that. And that's the atmosphere I keep even doing. So like I said, go with that Hamisha. Probably right environment, right people, great and a very strong family, friends. I think all that energy keeps you going. And friends who are doing 10 times better than you are. So for me, it's always, wow, yeah, how much they've achieved. They are unbelievable.
Examples of friends who inspire you a lot, or people who, from other walks of life, maybe who inspire you.
Of course, this dad. Then, like my heroes, I've also mentioned this on LinkedIn, like a Suniel Shetty, who taught me what standing up to anything and everything was.
1971.
Throughout his career, no helmet, playing the fastest of bowlers, playing them with such grace, leaving the sport, but still playing for India. He'd take on Jeffrey Boycott, he'd take on Tony Gregg if they tried to mess around with India and India talent. Always there for them. Sajai Parvez Mystery, even today at 80 and 84, is here when it comes to fitness.
Really?
The true guru, the true mentor, the true teacher. There are a lot who came after them. But never were able to create that kind of an aura around them because he genuinely taught, he wanted to teach. And all that he had, he'd give you, and then what you had with you, you would probably be do and better than him. But he let that happen. My cousin Sudhir, when everybody was into the restaurant business, his father died when he was 19, mother had died earlier, had a restaurant of his, but at the same time ventured into doing something different, real estate business, and succeeded. So everybody used to run him down when he's doing this also, why he's doing this, he ruined everything. And he lived life, drove the best cars, did everything. Oh, he's overspending, he's doing this. But remained steady, rock steady family, killed it when it came to business. So I looked up to him, So there are a lot of people who inspire me, and I see the good in a lot of people. Because if I start seeing the negative in people, there's nothing to take away in anything. It is food and it is on the table, and I say, यार ये खराब है, तो घर लेके जाने के लिए कुछ है ही नहीं मेरे पास. So I think that's my personality, and I'm glad I have that kind of a personality. Because money, losing money, and business going kaput is never mattered to me. I've always said, ठीक है कुछ और कर लेंगे यार, इसमें टेंशन क्या है. वैसे ही क्या है ना, रिलेशनशिप नहीं जावे यार, वो पकड़ के रखो. I'd say sorry to somebody if I've screwed up there. I'm very clear about all that. So,
Do you trust easily?
very, very easily. And that's why you see, my career, industry, trust means they didn't cheat me. But I believed in them, trusted them, and went ahead with it. Got stuck with sometimes producers who were kitchen chalao, didn't have the right funding. So even if they made a decent film, couldn't market it right, So that hits, overall that hits. Trust hits you there, So trust has to be balanced with a keen eye and observation. Yeah, okay. Are the other things okay? Trust helps you build that relationship and for things to grow. But when it goes wrong, then it gets difficult.
The founders you have backed, Anna, and the ones who you've kind of enjoyed working with or you have seen become successful, either as investees or as partners or as people who are kind of in your circle of friends, do you find characteristics in them that are common, or are they all very different? Or do you feel
No, they're common. Whether it's the focus or being conservative with what they do.
you think
Yeah.
a lot of times people celebrate flamboyant founders, all of that, right? But
No. Yeah. It's and in today's time, it's only proven that cash flow is everything. Being conservative is about everything. Money doesn't come easy, and especially when it comes from a lot of the other VCs who come in at various stages, it gets more and more difficult,
complicated.
to be able to deliver, and then you're doing things without a heart. So being conservative, making sure that it's not about how you travel, where you travel, how much you travel, and the more that you travel in, as compared to keeping in mind what the needs of the business are. I think if there's one business you see going nowhere, rather going to jail, most of the founders and owners, is the business of real estate.
Yeah.
People believe that anything would sell. People believe that any kind of money that you raise would be taken care of. Then use the money for a particular venture and for other ventures, and not being able to do anything.
Yeah.
And that's what greed is all about. That's what zero sense of business is all about. When you have everything in hand, and believing that you can deliver without delivery dates, without, I'll manage. Jugaad or management mein kuch nahi hota. I mean, I used to see more planes on that tarmac 3 years and 4 years before than I would see anywhere in the world. Everybody wanting private jets, because it's faster, it's easier, Maybe an hour here and there on a public carrier, but little things matter, and it does
Completely agree. I think real estate is an interesting one, because if you want to think of the business model, it's a cash churn business model. But what badly run real estate businesses, especially residential ones, are ones, the difference between a badly run and a well run is significant. But the market is big, because if you see, the world's largest private equity companies are coming into India with large real estate portfolios with such high IRR bars. People that smart won't take that.
Yeah,
So if you run it well, conservatively, as you saw, it's a fabulous business.
You have a Vicky Oberoi who stands for that today.
Correct.
I mean, this is a Vicky Oberoi building and it's selling for ₹1, and certain wall, and you have some other brand being there, not being able to sell it for 25 years.
I completely agree.
So it's about your involvement, the effort that you put in. I mean, your business is so competitive, yeah, but you're still growing.
Yeah.
You're still growing because you're invested in it, not just financially, but in every way.
A blood, sweat, tears.
Yeah, yeah. And without blood, sweat, tears, there's nothing. So that's why I always say having the mind of an MSME is very, very important. मेरा धंधा मैं संभालूंगा भाई, और अगर दूसरों का पैसा है तो मैं अपना समझ के मैं
That's so important. Yeah, so especially in real estate where your customer is probably saving for decades to put together that quantum to go and finally buy their home.
Yes, absolutely.
Can't treat it with anything less than the most sacrosanct honor.
So thank God for ERA and all these other things that the government has come up with here.
But even if you look at, you're right. So if I look at businessmen or entrepreneurs from India who have become large, for example, DMart. DMart is a
Yeah.
classic example. Mr. Damani is such a down-to-earth human being personally. And you see that down-to-earth, conservative, cash-focused, customer-focused approach in every employee in DMart.
Absolute.
And again, sliver thin margins. So what DMart is able to achieve in terms of value creation is so much more. Every other retailer in the country is struggling. Either there's consolidation or cash flow issues or whatever. These guys have just because of culture of conservatism and customer focus, they've been able to build such a valuable business.
He's an individual. You meet him, you meet his family. He stays in Prithvi, basically the building that I stayed in, and that's what is one of his first buys was. After that, DMart and everything came on. But what a soul! I wouldn't even say a human. As a person, I'd say what a soul. He, his family, his brother, his kids. You know, it's unreal. It's unreal. And when such people achieve, you only want them to achieve more, because somewhere down the line the country comes first. People come first. And that shows in anything and everything that they do. So very, very true.
If you do meet him in the lift or whenever you are socially meet him, do let him know that young entrepreneurs or young brands aspire.
I will. I definitely will. And he'll be embarrassed even if I tell him.
Because you meet his team, right? He's
like this. Really? Yeah, unbelievable. His brother, his family, his entire family. And he always says, this is the building that has bought me all the luck in the world. I'm going to stay put here. And the simplicity, that's unimaginable. It's unimaginable.
It flows through, Anna. Like every company is like this. Yeah. You can't make out on the street that this person is running $1 billion P&L inside DMart. You can't make out. Because if that person was in like an American company or in like one of these new there'll be Dravid, Rolls Royce, and there'll be
absolutely like, you won't even notice him if he's standing next to you somewhere. He doesn't want to be noticed.
Is that a cause of success, or is that what extreme success makes you become?
No, it is your upbringing and what your DNA is. If that's what your DNA is, and that is who you are, and that is how you're supposed to be. And you'd see that in every trade and business. There would be one person who you look up to, and that is a true mentor. That is someone that one needs to follow, emulate, and be. I mean, like in the industry, you're talking about Mr. Bachchan.
Yeah.
And the kind of personality he is, the kind of energy that he has, the discipline, the respect that he gives. So I think every business, you see sport here. Why is Rahul Dravid still God when it comes to cricket? It's not that he achieved while he was playing. It's the legacy that he left even after that.
As a coach now, under 19 and so on.
Just as a cricketer. Just as a human being, you talk to any cricketer and they say Rahul Dravid, legend, So that's the kind of legacy one should want to leave behind also. कि यार लोग अच्छा बोले, पीठ पीछे अच्छा बोले, जिससे ना कि अरे यार पीठ पीछे भी लोग अच्छा बोलते हैं. That genuinely means that he's a well-wisher also, and probably he's understood you also better.
Yeah, with Dravid specifically, I think people call him lesser of a cricketer and more a student of cricket. Yeah. He's just so And people in the art world or in music or in sports, like this is where, it's a performance game, right? Many times people forget, and I've heard this about Mr. Bachchan and KBC. I don't know who told me, but someone told me that before the shoot, he would be doing vocal exercises. He would be like, and people would think that he's such a accomplished actor and personality that he can kind of through just pure personality just wing it, which he can. But he was every time super well prepared, every word, the vocal exercises, warming up the neck, apparently something he would do. I don't know, but that's just what you do with expertise, right?
And also not taking anybody for granted. I mean, which means he's very aware that his personality, when you're in front of him anyways, you don't know how to react, what to say. Even as actors, even as co-actors, you don't know what to do because that's the kind of impact he has on you. But he lets you, he's in so beautifully, he lets you be so comfortable with him and with everybody around that you give your best for his sake there. And that's what, that's what an individual, that's what a leader is all about, yeah.
Andrew Flintoff said this beautifully about Sachin, that when I'm bowling to Sachin, I don't want to get him out. I just want to impress him.
Yeah.
So I can imagine Mr. Bachchan having that show. Anna, as we reach the twilight of this conversation, I wanted to actually like kind of double click on where you see India. But every conversation that we've had has had people who have been successful through 80s and 90s and the 2000s when the growth of India, economically, financially, culturally, socially, demographically was still kind of muted. It was there, but it was muted. But over the last 15, 20 years, especially the last 10 years of the internet economy, infrastructure, payments, now we're talking about Vayu, for example, getting everyone with zero commissions. There's just a generation of younger people who are now taking risks, doing debt-defying things in their own way.
Absolutely.
Right? That suddenly we feel like the golden period for the country is now upon us, and we are seeing some early signs of it. But from your vantage point, the people you work with, do you feel that is real? Because India shining has been something for 20 years, but is it now finally a real thing? And where do you stand on that?
India shining 20 years ago was what they wanted to believe. India shining is what is happening today. Whether it's the Aadhaar, whether it's the payment gateways, whether it's the infrastructure, it's got to be seen to be believed. We travel, we meet, we sit back. I sit back, I understand, I'm always watching. Unbelievable it is, unbelievable. See, we work very closely, thanks to Horses Stable, which is, very close, very, very closely with Niti Aayog, Atal Incubation Mission, Invest India, IDEX, all these organizations. There is an intent here. There is somebody sitting up there and saying, no, I want to give back. I want it to be done with. There has to be an entrepreneur in every family. There is an intent. There is a definite intent. I was shooting in Manali and, first go towards Rohtang and all these other places with a 5-hour, 6-hour journey. Suddenly now the tunnels have come in, and in an hour and a half, you're in heaven. And the kind of infrastructure that there is, which means there are cafes, there are restaurants, there are hotels, there are tourist destinations, all growing. And this is just about happening. The next 5 years, we'll be flying here all over. And whether it's the payment gateways or you see entrepreneurs today. And that's why the intent for me also, we just about launched a setup with Tata called Har Ghar Karobar, Ghar Ghar Karobar, talk about businessmen. So it talks about startups, it talks about MSMEs, giving them an opportunity to showcase themselves and their personalities because the reach is there. They've got the reach, which will move to the other platforms also. But because I see an intent, because I see every time I go with something and say, sir, this is something that can be done to the authorities. They say, karo, karte. That never happened. And never happened before. On top, it's beautiful. below, there's a lot of reorganizing that has to happen, which I'm sure it will happen.
If the top is there, then it
It has to percolate. And then we have to make an attempt at this level in our own way to make sure that that happens. And you'll see a different India completely. I mean, you see the products that are coming out of that today, see the finish of those very products. You see the young entrepreneurs, whether it's, I mean, when kids go abroad and now come back and want to stay green and go into farming and all other aspects of growth, I think we're there. We're very, very much there. And for me, Aadhaar, payment gateways, communication, and infrastructure, when it comes to pure infrastructure, America is still that superpower because of the infrastructure that was created here. So I think we're there. Every little individual has a mobile phone, has the data, has the... It's crazy. Who ever thought? I was yesterday we were friends who were together and they said, यार शादी थी और नीचे ऊपर हम रह रहे थे और नीचे शादी के लिए आ रहे थे, तो लॉकर में सब कुछ रखा था, संगीत के लिए नीचे आए तो ढोल वाले थे, अभी ढोल वाले को हमको पैसा कैसे देवे, तो इसे वाला मोबाइल रखा हुआ था उसमें नोटबंदी हुई थी कि क्या करेंगे तो बर्बाद हो जाएगा, ये हो जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा, क्या हुआ? Then आज आए ना मोड़ पे, आज आए मोड़ पे हर चीज में, like Karan said, the vaccination, absolutely. I mean, I'm a nation that is proud. We didn't say we want it for ourselves. We said, you want it, we'll give it to you if you need it. Yeah. And we did give it, absolutely. So this too much. If I start talking, everybody said they'll do देश बहुत गुस्सा हुआ, लेकिन वो बात करना चाहिए because people need to know. पता भी हो, लेकिन फैक्ट है ये. आप देख ही रहे हो ना, आपकी दुनिया में, आप स्टार्टअप्स की दुनिया में देखो, आप इन्वेस्ट, आप सोचो 10 साल पहले आप कभी सोच सकते थे कि इतना बड़ा बनेंगे, और आप कंपटीशन भी आओगे तो आप कंपटीशन को भी वेलकम करोगे कि आ जाओ बेटा, बहुत है यार, आज कलेक्टिव ग्रोथ के कई पीरियड है, इंडिविजुअल ग्रोथ का पीरियड है नहीं. करेक्ट. और कलेक्टिव ग्रोथ के लिए आपको ग्रास रूट लेवल चाहिए. फिल्में, मैं हमेशा बोलता था कि आप किसकी नहीं फिल्में बना रहे हो भाई. इट टुक अ डेकेड फॉर एवरीबॉडी टू रियलाइज, लेकिन हम किसके लिए फिल्में बना रहे थे? टूरिज्म स्विट्जरलैंड, टूरिज्म ऑस्ट्रिया, टूरिज्म बैंकॉक, सब्सिडीज के लिए पिक्चर बना रहे. ऑडियंस तो यहाँ है, तो आपको यहीं की ऑडियंस के लिए फिल्में बनानी पड़ेगी ना. एस्पायर के ये करते हैं आपके जैसे बनने, ये चाहते कि हाँ मैं हीरो बनूं, ऐसे मेरी ये हो, और इसके लिए मैं खड़ा हूँ, सच्चाई के लिए खड़ा हूँ, बहन के लिए खड़ा हूँ. Suddenly, बहन, माँ, oh that's passe, that's the, वैसे हो चुका था. लेकिन अब वो रियलाइजेशन हुआ, तो वो बदलाव अब यहाँ आ रहा. That's when you see success, even in the entertainment business, in my own business. Yeah? Absolutely. And OTT, all these platforms are there, but they can never kill cinema. Cinema is what is aspirational for OTT. तो वहाँ चला और यहाँ हम डालेंगे. Absolute hard. OTTs भी अभी subscribers ही ढूंढ रहे हैं ना. Wow. Distribution. Exact. Cinema is the product. Yeah. No, and OTT भी distribute कर रहे हैं, लेकिन अब realize कर रहा है कि यार AFPs पे ही चलना पड़ेगा, ये subscription का धंधा है नहीं. Correct. लेकिन फिल्मों के लिए अच्छा हो चुका है. There's one more avenue, one more model of distribution. तो from a revenue perspective. So आप जो भी करो इंडिया के लिए करो, एक्सपोर्ट की बाद में सोचो, पहले इंडिया के लिए करो, यहाँ के कंज्यूमर को खुश करो. And they're diehard fans of whatever they believe in and whatever they take up.
I completely agree. I think that's what we feel like the golden period of the country is overlapping economically, is overlapping with the prime of this generation's lives. Yeah. Is overlapping with a demographic that is so, that our median age is what, 27, 28. मतलब ये तीनों चीजें फिर से कभी नहीं होंगी. Like it will take maybe 500 years later and we'll again appear. और
सच्चाई आजकल के बच्चे,
it's a very interesting,
brutally honest. Even if it's a white lie, Atya look at me and say, Ann will say, Really? Yeah. Did you need to say that? No, baby. You don't need to. Don't value whether it's pets or it's nature or travel or everything is. Let's be honest. I mean, that's why I'm trying to make sure that I don't leave anything for the kids that they are not able to handle. Even if from a real estate perspective, let me correct everything to give them. Because somebody comes, hey, ये ठीक नहीं, ये ठीक नहीं, says, तो ठीक नहीं तो ठीक कराओ. मैं पैसे नहीं दूंगा आपको. There is this generation that is coming up in the next 3-4 years. You'll see this percolation down the line will happen through this generation. Then say नहीं भैया नहीं चाहिए. हम ऑनलाइन कर लेंगे. क्यों नहीं कर रहे आप? या तो हम आपको रिपोर्ट कर देंगे. That is going to happen. That will happen soon. यही मोबाइल और यही चीज आपकी सच्चाई बताएगी. आज है ना, आज कैमकार्ड लेके ऑल ओवर द वेस्ट घूम रहे हैं. अपने गाड़ियों पे लगा रहे आगे पीछे कि भैया आप बोलो क्या है. तो पुलिस वाला भी आते आते सोच लेता है कि भैया मैं क्या बोलूं.
So authority is now kind of becoming transparent.
Yes, and tech will do that. Tech will allow you to do that. You will be wired everywhere. आप देख लो क्या कर रहे हो, किसकी गलती थी, आपकी थी, मेरी थी. तो कहीं ना कहीं वो डर है ही. और ये छोटे डराते हैं जिनकी सच्चाई डराती है. The brutal or the shit film. What are you wearing? How can you do? Oh really? Yeah, it shows, no? It shows. पहले कौन बोलता था? कोई नहीं बोलता था.
That's the thing, right? I think you're so right, because if this generation is able to, if you're right, if this generation pays tax even 20% more than the previous generation, that money goes to the government, that government money goes to public money goes into enterprise. It is very clear.
Yeah.
True. So it is where it actually starts. It starts with government influence. It's not the result. Yeah, it's the cause.
No, and this generation will do. A lot of them say कि यार लेकिन lazy भी है. ऐसे lazy नहीं है, खुश है. अपने वक्त पे काम कर रहे हैं. ठीक है ना? उन खुद के लिए कर रहे हैं, family, लेकिन कर रहे हैं. And they are masters of what they do. So that's good enough. And they're happy here. Let's add this happy word to anything and everything that we do, and more so what they do. They want to be happy. They want their time. They want their cutoff time. They want everything, which is fine.
They also have a far higher risk appetite because they just know that the safety nets are there. Yeah. For that generation, they always know at 25, 26, you won't believe, Anna, like when I see young third-year engineering kids or third-year kids at Delhi University come and present, they have detailed financial understanding of their projections. Like, you cannot imagine that someone who's 21, 22 is able to understand finances, something that they don't study in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Has understanding of the consumer, has understanding of business models, growth, capital. I'm going to raise kar lungi. Women are coming in.
And we're taken over. Yeah. So look at that. It's such a great feeling. Yeah. That's why when I saw all three of them also, I kept thinking of Dad, because he used to always say this about sis and my younger sis also. And it turned out to be so true, because my older sister lost her husband when she was probably in her early 40s. Yeah. And she was, of course, working, but he was running the business side of it. And her kids were teenagers or less, my nephews. And she took over because she was educated. And that's the only thing he had told me. If something goes wrong, God willing, she's educated. बुद्धि की जो शास्त्र है, आप लेके कहीं भी अपने आप को establish कर सकते हो. आपकी property होगी, earthquake, destroyed, वापस आप रास्ते पे हो. लेकिन वो बुद्धि आप कहीं भी लाके adjust कर सकते हो. Just so true. So he said, I have only this much. The two of you or the two? So I said, no, the older one and the younger one, I'm fine. I'll manage. And I've managed, and they've done so well for themselves.
No, absolutely. I think it's important. It's important for the message to go out. As we kind of come to a close, people who are watching, sometimes they just need to hear it from someone else that it's okay and good to
and it's right to kind of go and do something which is offbeat but disproportionate in terms of value creation. But घर पे कभी अभी भी people say don't take risk, settle हो जाओ पहले शादी कर लो. For women especially, there are 30,000 other kind of considerations. But the more data that's coming out, we are realizing that women founders are far more backable because they will conservatively use money. They're able to multitask better. They're able to. So a lot of these things are getting broken, but socially, people still are kind of breaking out. A few words of kind of advice, encouragement from your side to someone who's on the fence and saying like, करना चाहती हूँ लेकिन पता नहीं कर पाऊंगी.
Don't even think twice. Get into it, because that's the only way you will also learn. That will be a process of learning only. And now is the time, because opportunities galore. And like you said, women entrepreneurs, investors galore, people wanting to. Because I think that mother instinct, no, that is something, I think from a product perspective also, that's how they treat it. They get attached to it emotionally and otherwise, which is also good, because which means you're going to invest everything of yours into it. So I think this is the best period. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it through my show. I'm seeing it through the interactions with government at various levels. An absolute golden period. And when it's a golden period for the country, it's got to be a golden period for us. Yeah. So take that risk. But even if you want to venture into something that is alien to what everybody believes in your family, make sure you master that, you know a lot about it before getting into it. Just don't go into anything blindly. For me, like I said, in the movie business, I think I went into it with sheer guts and believing that I'll matter part dunga, because everybody thinks matter part dunga, especially in the industry. But you need to master and know your craft before you do.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be.
A boat is always safe in the harbor, but is never living its life, right? They don't want to be in the harbor for too long.
True.
Amazing. This has been a fascinating conversation and so good to get to know you personally. To kind of hear your thoughts. Would love for you to come to our office sometime. Here in Delhi. But I'm really hoping people who are watching are able to take some inspiration from the work that you have done and the life that you have lived. And thank you so much for being so generous with your time, your thoughts, your energy, and mostly your kindness and all the pranks you pulled on us in 2 hours.
I didn't. Did I? See, the camera is saying no.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All the best.